My name is Josh, and welcome to Hide and Seek Archives, a podcast where we talk about things supernatural, cryptid, or unexplained. Welcome, everyone. I have Ryan Jones from Washington here with me, who has had several strange encounters throughout his life. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. If you want to go ahead and tell us what happened, starting from the beginning.
Let's see. So, being in foster care, we didn't really have a lot of outings or trips that they would plan that were big, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So, one summer, they surprised us with a camping trip over in a town called Granite Falls.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exactly sure where, but I know going through that way, there's a camp called Camp Silverton. And when we got there, me and another kid, we were super excited to go in the back to go fishing because they had a river that ran through the back. And once we got everything set up and picked our cabin, we ran to the back to go fish before anyone else can get there. Mm-hmm. And after a couple hours of passing and nothing going on, we decided to just get up and leave, go back. And as we're getting up, something ran across the river. There's a bunch of bushes in a hill, and something ran across those into a bush.
Mm-hmm.
And we started throwing rocks, and we're not thinking it was a raccoon.
Uh-huh.
And we must have pissed something off, but we heard it was like a cougar and a woman screaming really loud. And we've never heard a scream like that before. And we got up and we ran. And as we ran, whatever that was across the river ran up the hill too, away from us. So we never went back to the river after that. And if anyone went, we would make sure it was a big group of people. Then years later, I moved into, I guess, like a group home kind of thing. And there was a staff member there who told me a story about him and a friend who went to a Boy Scout camp area. And they went walking through and exploring and checking stuff out. And, yeah, remember this kind of thing? And they found the cafeteria area. And there was a dead deer or something, they said, in next to the door in the back. And they went walking over there to go check it out. And they said it looked like something slid it back halfway into the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped and they turned around and left. And as they turned around to leave to go back up to the car, they said they could hear something walking around the back of the building. So they started going quicker. And they said when they got to the car that they felt something hit the car, but they couldn't see what it was. And they stopped at a bar up the road, and they got themselves together, and they got out and looked at the car, and they said it looked like a giant handprint on the trunk of the car. Sorry, like something clawed the car, they said, but they couldn't see anything because it was dark.
And how many of them were there?
There was just him and his friend.
Oh, okay. And where was the deer exactly? So
how he explained it is what I'm picturing is when you walk in through the front of the doors to get into the cafeteria area, and the back left, there were some other doors to go into a kitchen, he said, and it was sitting right there by those doors.
So it was inside?
Yeah, it was like a covered area that had a kitchen attachment to it.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's really strange.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I don't know if it was something that actually happened, because I thought he was just telling me a story to freak us out, being younger at the time. But I wouldn't doubt it. There's been a lot of crazy stuff happening in Washington State.
Yeah, there definitely has.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of stories all the time.
Yeah, I guess I did some research a long time ago, and there's been a lot of sightings with UFOs and Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them. But there's been a time when the same group home. I used to play baseball when I was a kid, and I remember coming back from practice and running upstairs really quick before anyone left so I could go with them. And I wanted to wash my face and change clothes. And at the time, there was only me and two other kids that lived in this big, giant group home. And I know of the two male staff members that were downstairs. But as I'm going upstairs, there was a female that walked by me. So I said, "Oh, hello." And she didn't say anything. She just kept going. So when I go back downstairs, I told, his name was Carlos. I asked him, "Who's that lady that is here?" And he was, "What lady?" And so there's a lady that passed me coming down the stairs when I went upstairs. And he said, "No, there's no lady, just me and him." And they thought it was weird. And no one really talked about it. And then maybe 2 months later, Carlos came to work a night shift, and his spot was upstairs with the other kids. And he came upstairs, and he came into the room, and I woke up, and he said, "Hey, do you want to talk?" So, "Yeah, sure." And I went out to go talk to him, and he told me as he was coming around the corner, the whole building has a ton of windows, so you can see everything. And he said that he saw a lady standing in the window. And then he apologized, and he was like, "This isn't cool. This is creepy. I ain't used to this," kind of thing. But it was pretty funny how he came and woke me up and was like, "Hey, I'm sorry." So 2006 comes around, and I graduate high school, and I toured Job Corps over here at Washington State in Cedar Woolley. And at first I'm kind of hesitant. I don't know if I want to do it. So I went to another tour again, and I decided, yeah, I'll do it. And I joined 9/11 2007. And at first, it seemed cool. It was fun. And a bunch of weird stuff happening after I learned what that place was. The whole property pretty much was an old insane asylum called Northern State Hospital. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kids were scared of certain dorms or certain rooms. And of course you hear a ton of stories from everyone else. And it was no joke. The whole center, even the center director, everyone banned Ouija boards. If you brought a Ouija board to center, they will kick you off. You'll be kicked out of the program. And of course, some kid, they had to antagonize that, and they made a Ouija board on the back of a ceiling tile. And one of the staff members that worked there, years later, I worked with her, someone else, but she told me that a girl was upstairs in one of the dorms, and they were all playing with a Ouija board. And she was saying, like, "Yeah, this is stupid. You know, nothing's going to happen." And she said something pushed her out of the window. She landed in a rose bush. And that staff member that I worked with was the one who took her to the hospital. And she kept trying to comfort her, and the girl just kept saying the same thing over and over. But she didn't tell me what she was saying. But they said after that day, that's when they banned Ouija boards from being on center. And then after being there a certain time, you get assigned a different room with new roommates. So I got my room and picked my bed and whatnot. My roommate at the time said that we kept messing with him, and we kept pulling his blanket off, we kept pulling his towel off, and we tried to explain to him, there's no way that I can get from the top bunk on the other side of the room, run to your bed, and do that, and then jump back up there without making any noise. And He didn't believe us. He kept thinking it was us. And then there was one night where he was half awake, and I was sitting up on the top of the bed, and we had a mirror on the wall across the other side of the room. And you can see a black mist on the wall next to me in the mirror. And his towel was ripped off the head of his bed where he had it hanging up to dry. And he looked up at me, and he saw that I was awake. So he didn't really say anything, but when he looked up, that mist shot up the wall and just disappeared. And he saw it, and then after that, he believed us. And even walking into the bathroom or into the shower, it always felt like someone was in there watching you. And the bathroom was a huge bathroom with old metal stalls, and there's concrete floor. And I remember going in there one night, and it sounded like someone walking around with wet feet on concrete, just that slap sound. Mm-hmm. And the stalls, they had maybe about 2 feet of skirt underneath all of them where you can still see. So I bent down to look, but there's no other feet, nothing touching the ground. And I finish up and I leave, and as I'm leaving, I can hear this feet walking across, like they're going to come around to meet up with me. And I didn't want to wait to see. So I just walked out quick to my room and went back to bed. With the showers, the water would turn on by itself, or electronics that you would take in there would unplug or shut off by themselves. So every morning we had chores, I guess you can say, we had to do. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times mine was cleaning the showers and making sure all of the chrome was polished and didn't look smudgy or anything. Uh-huh. And you did them, and everything is done. And then you leave to go get someone, you come back, and there's water everywhere. And that part sucked.
Yeah, I'd imagine. And you never ever heard anything? You'd always just come back and there'd just be water everywhere?
Yeah, no. Because the doors are kind of thick, so you go out of the room, walk down the hallway, meet up with whoever is assigned to your wing of the dorm. Mm-hmm. And then...
and what would your lead say?
They all knew what was going on.
Okay.
So he would kind of look at me and like, you did them or not? I was like, I swear, I did them. And then they knew, like, okay, just, dry it off as best as you can really quick, and then you're good. And we would do that and then leave, come back. But I graduated August 10th, 2008. And for whatever reason, I felt attached. Like, I kept going back to the junk, or to the barns, to the farm area. Mm-hmm. So me and a friend went over one night, and we started in the barns, and we found an old graveyard. We didn't know that was there at the time, and I have pictures of inside of there, and there's a plaque right when you walk in that says something about over 1,400 bodies were buried here in this small cemetery. And as you walk in through that threshold to enter, it felt weird. It felt really weird. The ground wasn't even because of all of the coffins or whatnot that were caving in. Mm-hmm. And in the very back, you can hear someone humming or talking really lightly, but it was loud enough to catch our attention. And we start walking back over there just to make sure it's not a real person. And then the voice changed. It got real deep, and it scared my buddy, and he didn't want to keep going. So we stood there, and we were taking pictures, circling around. And we walked over to the old dorms and the old hospitals. And we found foundation of an old dorm that was next to the one that I was in. And we met up with some friends. We dug a hole through under the foundation, and we crawled all the way to the other side, and we dropped into the basement. And when we got into the basement, it's just a long, dark hallway. And I'm tall. I'm 6'4". Mm-hmm. So trying to walk through that kind of sucked. You have to watch everything or just crouch down and walk. And there's rooms off to the side that were tarped off. And it said something about old army, shelter, army bunker kind of deal. Mm-hmm. And there's old tannish, light brown, I guess, barrels that looked like they said they had water in them. And we kept going all the way down to the end, and we saw a metal gate that either was welded shut or was stuck or something. But we wanted to go through that gate to get upstairs to the other side, but we couldn't get it open. So everyone gave up, and I didn't know that they all left. And I'm standing there by myself, and I'm peeking in through this little hole in the gate to look. And when I looked, it looks like there was a set of legs, like a whole hospital gown, and just a bare, dirty legs. So I pulled my head back, and I decided, okay, that's my signal to go. I walk up the hallway really quick and meet up at the wall so I can climb up this wall to get back out. And as I'm up on the wall, I turn around to look, and that person, or whatever it was in the entryway of that gate, just watching us. And I got up that wall super fast, and we climbed out. That was it. We went home after that.
Wow. And what did they look like?
It was weird. Like, so the gown just looked like a regular hospital gown, but their body, they looked dirty, like they were playing in the dirt. And you couldn't really tell if there was a face or not. It was blurry. It was weird.
So,
like I'm sorry.
When you say blurry, was it kind of like see-through blurry, or?
Yeah, it was almost a little transparent.
Okay.
But it was like there was no face at all. It was kind of weird.
So no facial features. Couldn't even see any hair.
No, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really weird. But there's been a bunch of other little things too. Everyone saw it. There was a shadow that would run super fast across the campus, or it would run out to the football field, or run over behind the rec area. And we learned that behind the rec area is also an unmarked graveyard. Really? So and that doesn't help.
Would this happen during the day or at night?
It would always happen at night.
Wow.
It was weird too. I remember we all would sometimes hang out in front of the dorms and just chat and whatnot. And it looked like someone trying to get into the rec building. Uh-huh. Like just a regular person. And as we're walking, it starts to kind of fade away. And me and a buddy, the door did not open, and this dude, or whatever it was, walked in through the door. We thought it was all really weird. And two of my best friends from Job Corps, Michael and Robert, and we would always hang out whenever there was like winter break, or a lot of kids would go home for break, so we always stayed and just hung out because we had all of this stuff now that we could do without worrying about anyone else.
Yeah.
And we had a huge room. And I remember a lot of weird stuff happened in that room too. We'd wake up and stuff was moved around. Uh-huh. Or we would leave to go downstairs, as the dorms that they would have us in was the big 3-floor dorm. And it would always sound like people talking upstairs, or it would sound like a phone ringing, but there's There's nothing. And there was a payphone inside of my dorm, Mount Rainier. And every night, just about, I think it was, that payphone would ring like someone was calling. And then people would answer it, and you would just hear breathing, or you would hear nothing, and they would hang up. So 3 days about, I think, after going to the barns and the buildings, my buddy and I, we looked at the pictures at work on my laptop, and we noticed that in a few of the pictures, there's a face that pops up in all of them with, it's all white face with black eyes and black lips. And it looked bad. It looked evil. It looked bad. Like if you looked at the picture, you just get a bad vibe. Like, this isn't good.
And where exactly was that picture taken?
So there was one that I took of, there's a row of trees in the graveyard. For whatever reason, it gave me like a weird vibe. Like there's something over in those trees. And it popped up in the trees. There was another picture of a grave headstone marker in the very back of the graveyard of the caretaker who took care of all of that. Mm-hmm. The face was next to his. And then there was just some other random ones who were just walking and took a picture in the field, and the face was there.
Wow.
But, yeah, it would, the space, a lot of the times, we thought was just matrixing. And the pictures, like, we thought it was just our eyes playing tricks on us. Mm-hmm. Until it showed up in my room. And the girl I was dating at the time, it didn't like her. It would hiss at her, and it would throw stuff at her. And whenever my buddy came over to the house for lunch, because I lived a lot closer to work than he did, we would hang out in the living room, and we can always hear whispering, or we can hear, like, scratches or just knocks on the wall. And he was into that. He did not like that. So we would just hang out at work on lunch. And a couple of years went by of this thing just messing with me and my friends, or me and whoever. Well, I went back to the Job Corps Center, and I told her, like, you have to leave me alone. You're not welcome to follow me. You need to stay, kind of thing. After I did that, and I haven't seen him since. But I still feel like I have something following me from my period of time when I attended Job Corps. Mm-hmm. So I still have stuff that happens all the time. Like the house I live in now with my wife and kids, I know upstairs in the room that we have, a lady did pass away in that room. And then before we moved into the house, there was a guy who was working on his vehicle in the back of the house, and the vehicle rolled over him and killed him. Oh. And daily, every day, I get the kids to bed, and then I have time to wind down and take some time to myself, so I'll get on the PS4 or something, or watch a movie. And you can see people walk through the kitchen, or you can see people duck around the corner and peek at you.
Kind of out of the corner of your eye, or directly in front of your vision?
Yeah, like if we're sitting and watching the TV, you can see it from the corner of your eye, but there's been a few times where you can directly see it. Like, how do you say it? It's just like a weird shadow just peeks around and then goes away. Kind
of like shadow people.
Yeah, but they have color to them. It's not just like a gray or black shadow.
Okay.
There's been times where my daughter go upstairs to go to her room or go to bed or whatever, and a book flew out of the bookcase, and it's a big book. It's a Harry Potter book, and you have to pull it out of the case, and then you can tilt it. And this thing flew out somehow, but
whoa!
And the same room that I am in right now, my sons used to live in that, or stay in that room when we first moved in. And they both told me at two separate times that there was a man standing underneath the ceiling fan with glowing eyes, and his lips, they were doing something weird, but they said he was grinding his teeth. And it scared them bad. They didn't want to be in that room anymore. So we switched the rooms. And I haven't seen anything in the room, but we have heard scratches and knocks in the closet. And it just feels weird. It always feels like someone's watching me up here.
No one's been physically hurt, have they?
No,
Oh,
no.
oh, that's good.
At Jump Corps, when I was there, people would get scratches or bite marks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's legitimate, but the dorm that I was in used to be a boys and a female dorm. So the female's on the bottom and the male up top.
Uh-huh.
And they changed it because the females would wake up with scratches or bite marks on them.
Wow, that's strange.
Yeah. And then...
Wow, that's strange.
Yeah. And then, let's see. I think it was 2014. I was in North Carolina, and I woke up coughing, but it was really weird because I know that cough anywhere. That it sounded just like my dad. So I woke up and I sat up and I kind of thought like, well, that was weird. And I grabbed my phone to see what time it was, and I saw that I had a ton of text messages and a ton of calls. And the first one I called back was my sister. And she told me that morning my dad passed away. And I didn't know, at first I didn't know how to react. I'm still waking up, and then I got this news, so it was bad. And I thought about it, and I told her that I woke up and I felt like I was choking. And when I coughed, it sounded like Dad. She said that he had a heart attack, and he was choking a little bit, and they tried to get him out of the van, but they couldn't get him out to help him. And a couple of days go by, I take a bus up to Pennsylvania to go see my sister and be there for my dad's funeral. And the day after, I remember sitting in the living room, and me and my sister were talking, and how her living room was set up was she had one part of the living room, and then the TV right there, and then there was kind of like a dividing wall that was like an entryway with another couch over on the other side of the wall. And I fell asleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and in the reflection of the TV, I could see my dad on the other couch, on the other side of the room, sitting at the end, smiling at me. And I got up and I walked over there, and there was nothing there. So I broke down, and my sister heard, and she came down and asked me what's going on, and she was confident, saying like, I know it sucks. And then I told her what happened, and I told her what he was wearing, and I pointed over to the couch, and she said, yeah, he always sat at the end of the couch right there, because that was the only couch at the end table, so he could put his coffee there. But she would hear his keys. My dad had a bunch of keys. He was a truck driver for a long time. And she said he could hear his keys jingling up the stairs, or she could hear his cough, or he wore the old school Old Spice cologne. Mm. She could smell that sometimes in the hallways. I used to work at a pediatrics office in North Carolina, and at nights I would clean it. And I remember from the corner of my eye, I could see someone standing there with like a jean, button-up shirt, and blue jeans. And I knew, in my gut, I knew it was my dad, because it looked like him from the corner of my eye. And he would just randomly be there, and then he would look like he would walk our way around the corner, and he was gone. There's a town in Washington State called Concrete, and I know up to Concrete and up past Concrete, it's just weird feeling sometimes. Like going out, I used to go out in the woods a lot. I love being out in the woods, going camping and whatnot. And every time I go out there, I always carry a knife with me, just because I'm used to always taking one, just in case. There's been a bunch of times when I could have used one. And there's a place up there called New Haven, and my wife and I one night kind of snuck away, like, let's go have a drive by ourselves or something. And whatever reason, we decided to go up there late at night, to this waterfall that it had lights in the waterfall, but it was still pretty dark on the trail.
Uh-huh.
And we go up there, and we get to the top, and we're taking pictures, and we hear, sounds like a child screaming,
Uh-huh.
but we knew at the time, like, there's no children up here. It's almost 12 o'clock at night. And I had her walk in front of me, and I watched her back, and I had my knife out, and I told her, don't run, but we need to walk back to the car. And then once we got to the bridge and we walked faster, or we got into the truck, and we looked up videos on what it could be, and I'm pretty sure we walked up on a cougar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was no good.
Yeah. You said you like to go out in the woods a lot. Do you camp and
Yeah, we try to camp as much as we can. We'll go out to Forks, Washington, or sometimes we'll go up north by Mount Baker. There's a spot that we like up there.
Okay. Do y'all ever witness anything strange out in those spots, or?
No, out by Mount Baker. I've only been out there 4 or 5 times, and every time it's been pretty peaceful. But I know over in Forks and La Push, those areas over there, it always feels like something's watching you from the woods.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I've been to Washington a few times. Visited Mount St. Helens and
Nice.
Mount Rainier.
Yeah, we're not too far from Rainier. We're only like a ferry ride from Seattle.
Oh, okay.
So we go, they call it rock hounding, but we go and look for crystals or agates or beach glass and stuff like that. And there's a place over here called Hanson Creek, past North Bend, or in North Bend. I don't know if it's still the same area, but we took the wrong road. And we were going through, and we were like, no, this doesn't look right. Let's turn around. And we were looking for a place to turn around, and these 2 elk came running out of nowhere. But they looked freaked out, like something was chasing them or something scared them. And I've never seen elk react like that before.
Huh.
And we slowed down because my wife loves elk. Like, we always take pictures of elk whenever we see it. But this specific elk was all over the place. It was in a hurry to get out.
It seemed like it was really scared of something.
Yeah, it was really scared. I've never seen an elk react like that before. I've been close to a whole bunch of them, and I've been close to a small group of them, and never like that.
Well, I wonder what it could have been. Something to scare them that bad.
I wanted to like kind of stop and look, but then I thought maybe it could be a bear or something. I don't want to have that just run up on the car with the kids in it.
Yeah, because you have grizzlies up in Washington, don't you?
I think we have black bear for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen black bear, but I don't know about grizzlies.
Okay.
I just don't know.
Okay. I know I go to Colorado a lot on vacation too, and I see a lot of elk out there and black bears. There's no grizzly. I mean, there's been some sightings, but nothing confirmed.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of wondering if there might be some where you're at too.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised, but I do know black bear. We've seen him run out on the road before. Like logging roads. So it's just you and the woods. And it looks really cool, honestly. But it was weird. We looked at each other like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It was different. We're not used to seeing elk freak out like that. So there's a town up north in Washington called Mount Vernon.
Uh-huh.
I lived there for a year, so with my foster parents, and I remember we were out in the county where the house was. It was like the last house that was able to be built on the dike by the river. So it was cool. It was a big old house, and it was me and my foster dad, and I think one of my foster mom's biological sons were out in the back having a fire, and you can hear from the fence line over out the tall grass. You can just hear like whoop whoop whoop.
Uh-huh.
But it would get louder, and it would sound like there was more, and then it would seem like they stopped right there at the the end of the fence where it was still dark, and you can hear a whoop whoop. And my foster that I was talking about going under through the basement upstairs to the house to get his gun because he didn't know what it was for sure, and I thought it was a coyote, but the look on his face did not sink. I remember sitting in one of the dorms and we just look out the window, open it up. It's hot as hell upstairs, so we're all hanging out by the window, and we can see this small row of lights that looks over the Cascades and is sitting there, and I thought it was a cell tower or something, and it started to move, and then when it moved, it split up, and one of the staff members, I called him over and I pointed it out to him, and he was looking at it, and then he started to freak out, and he said that he's seen stuff before when he was a kid, and then when he saw that, he was like, no, everyone get out of the window and everyone go to bed. And he was like, I don't want to do this right now. And I asked him later on, like, what happened? Why are you so scared about that? And he said that he remembers seeing lights like that, and then he remembers seeing people standing in the woods, and he thought they were aliens. So he said aliens scared the shit out of him.
Wow, that's really strange.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening. That encounter was really awesome. Thank you, Ryan, for taking the time. This next encounter is really short but very interesting, and I hope you guys enjoy.
All right. I grew up in Cary, North Carolina. Grew up in a ranch house, a single story, probably built in the 50s. Just me and my father and my grandmother. My grandfather had passed. I would be woken up in the middle of the night by pretty loud footsteps, like pacing footsteps coming from the attic that my father and I both would hear on multiple occasions. The attic was crammed full with boxes stacked. There was zero open floor space for anybody to even be walking. It was very bizarre, very loud and prominent footsteps, sounded like, cowboy boots walking, pacing up back and forth up in the attic. And it was obviously, very bizarre and very scary. I used to wake up very scared because I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, I can understand that. Did y'all ever go up and look?
The only time we did, we looked, and like I said, there was just boxes everywhere. It didn't make any sense. There was no open floor space for anybody to be walking. We never saw anything out of the ordinary, just, bunch of boxes and no open floor space. And it was very bizarre.
Did it continue until you went up there, or did it stop when you started heading to go look?
Oh, no, it continued. I would hear it. We'd go up and look. Saw nothing. This probably happened 10 times easy. It'd wake me up. They were loud. In the middle of the night, I would recall about 2 or 3 in the morning.
And on the next incident that happened, what happened with that?
Yeah. So I was lying in my bed around midnight. I had been doing a little bit of nitrous oxide. There's a whipped cream dispenser which is used to dispense it. Mm-hmm. I had put that on the floor and was done, and I rolled off my bed onto the floor, and my lights were off. It was pitch black in my room. And I'm sitting on the floor, and I look over at the whipped cream dispenser, and I notice it starting to slide towards me. Not roll, it was sliding on my carpet. And, the floor was level. It wasn't uneven, so it wasn't, there wasn't gravity. So what I did to test it was put my hand in front of it towards the direction it was sliding, and I could watch the gap close up from the bottle to my fingertips. Just visually, I could test it and see that it was moving. And the bottle hit my fingers, and I could feel whatever force was moving this bottle on my fingers. Like, I felt the power of whatever was moving it. So immediately, I freaked out. I picked up the bottle, and I moved it about 6 or 8 inches away from me. And it started to slide towards me again. I watched it go on for 10 to 15 seconds. And after that, I had enough. I freaked out. I stood up, turned on the lights, and it stopped as soon as I turned the lights on. Um, it was very, very bizarre and very scary. I've never had anything like that happen. I don't know, nitrous supposedly, I've heard people say that when you do nitrous, it changes the frequency of your brain and you possibly pick up or you're able to perceive different frequencies or possibly open a portal to, allow spirits to communicate.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if there was a spirit trying to communicate with me. It didn't seem evil. It seemed, quite friendly, I guess. There was nothing evil about it. It was just quite alarming. The fact that I could, put my hand down, watch it, and I picked it up, moved it, and it did it again. It was my sort of test. And it did it twice for about, 15, 20 seconds. It scared the crap out of me. I could not explain it.
I imagine. And you said you ended up calling your father. What did he have to say about it?
My dad's very open-minded. Him and I talk about anything. We're big UFO nuts, and we believe in, we're very open-minded. He couldn't explain it. He said that, it's paranormal. He said possibly a poltergeist, which polter, I believe, means spirit. Geist means knocking, or maybe I have it backwards. Polter is knocking, Geist is spirit in German. He couldn't explain it, but just kind of, agreed with me that it was very strange and possibly a spirit. It didn't seem evil. My sister, of course, wrote it off that I was hallucinating, but, the fact that I could test it visually and physically, I know it wasn't a hallucination.
Yeah. And when you felt it, or when you saw it moving, was it scraping against the floor? Did you hear it making any noise?
No noises. It was on the carpet. It really didn't make much of a noise. I was just actually sitting right where it happened. It didn't make any noise. I just, watched it move. Like I said, I put my hand down and I watched the gap close up from the bottom to my fingers until it hit my hand, and I felt the pressure of whatever was propelling the bottle on the carpet. I felt it on my fingers, and that's when I picked it up and moved it, and then it started moving again, and that's when I got up and turned the lights on. It seemed to only do it in the dark. It stopped as soon as I turned the lights on, which is odd.
That is interesting. And you could actually feel the force of it pushing up against your hand?
Yeah. I felt like when I put my hand down for the gap to close up, it closed up the whole way. I felt the force against my hand on my fingertips.
Interesting. And did it seem to get stronger and stronger, or did you pull away pretty quick?
I picked it up immediately and moved it about 6 to 8 inches away just to immediately kind of test to see what was going on. And I didn't put my hand on it again. I just watched it move the second time. And once I watched it move again, I had enough. I had to get up and turn the lights on. I was very scared. It really scared me.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah, I've never had anything happen like that before. I'm living alone, just me and my dog.
Uh-huh.
I, had to call my dad just to, kind of talk it out. But
Oh, and was your dog around during all this?
he was in the other room, actually. He normally sleeps with me, but as of late, he stopped sleeping with me. So no, he wasn't in the room. He didn't react in any sort of way. I guess he was just sleeping.
Yeah.
That's my only thought. I mean, but the fact that, I watched Steve-O from Jackass talk about when he was doing a lot of nitrous. You would see people walking in his apartment. He believed that the nitrous, whether it's frequency or whatever, that, it kind of opens a portal and allows other people from the other side to communicate or appear or whatever. And I was definitely scared, and I've heard that they feed off fear. So
Yeah, I've definitely heard stories where people believe that kind of stuff does open up either portals or let you see into the other, realm, or however you want to call it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I don't hear it very often, because most people, play it off as hallucinations or
Right. Just
drug-induced paranoia or.
Yep. Exactly. She tried to say that, oh, the brain can do crazy things. Like, well, I'm a pretty straightforward guy. I was only doing that just to, get my mind off of the withdrawals I was going through. I'm not normally a big drug user. I'm fairly level-headed,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe in things we don't understand. There's lots of things that we don't understand, I believe.
Yeah, that is
I
very.
don't claim to understand it. I just, tell them exactly what happened, and that's what happened, and it was bizarre. I can't explain it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and telling us your account, Joe.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for having me. I haven't really told anybody but my dad and my sister, so this was good to be able to talk about it.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. And thanks to Joe and Ryan for coming on and taking the time to tell us about their experiences and their encounters. And if you'd like to be on Hide and Seek Archives, you can email me at hideandseekarchives@gmail.com. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll talk to you next Tuesday.
It starts with one thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on to didn't even know or wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time I tried so hard and got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property, remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even